Good morning, gang. Happy Friday morning. Well. More truth coming out that kind of gets shoved under the rug here by the media, the government, whatever. How many of you have tightened your belt here in the last 3 years? Okay. Because of rampant inflation, because of everything going up except paychecks. Okay. How many of you are looking at the dinner plate going, there ain't as much here as there used to be? Probably most of us. Okay. Sure, there's some people who are saying they're doing better under Biden. Okay. They're either blind or lucky, one of the two. Yesterday, the USDA, US Department of Agriculture, put out their monthly chart for the average cost of food. Okay. To feed your family, not restaurants, not anything, just food that you cook at home. Hopefully, most of us do that. Hey, millennials, I pick on you all the time. I feel for you in this one, okay? But I got a suggestion. Learn to cook, okay? No more Uber Eats. No more going out 6 times a week. No more McDonald's for lunch. Make a sandwich, okay? Because the cost just to eat from food from the house has gotten ridiculous. So I went in and did a little bit of research, go figure, okay, on how this plays out for the American family. Now, I'm going to qualify all this from the beginning. This is a overgeneralization because the cost of things in San Francisco are different than the cost of things in Omaha, Nebraska. Okay, the cost that you're paying in Boston is different than what you're paying in Biloxi, Mississippi. Understand, everything I'm going here is on national averages, but the percentage works out pretty much the same no matter where you go. The average household income before taxes in the United States, household, that means mom and dad both working, or if mom stays home, just dad, or vice versa, dad stays home, just mom, okay? Household income is $76,330. And I know a lot of you are going to go, that's more than I make, or that's more than we bring in. Or again, I'm giving you this as an overgeneralization. You figure it out yourself. You can also go back test this if you want to go look in your checkbook. Okay. That's before taxes. So I looked up to see what the tax rate, the effective tax rate, after all your deductions, standard deduction, okay, because I don't know your itemized stuff, what your taxes would be on an income such as so, all right? It's 11%. That's federal only, okay? Now, again, some states don't have state income tax, some don't have local tax, some don't have sales tax, whatever. So break it out for yourself again. But again, I'm working on averages. That means by the time all is said and done, the average take-home pay for a household is $67,934. Okay. Still, you should be able to run a household on that comfortably. Okay. I'm not saying owning Mar-a-Lago and eating, lobsters and T-bones every night, but you should be able to have a decent life on that. So then we get into the USDA report. And you can take a look at this. I'll also link it below here so you can read it. I went off the moderate plan, not the starvation diet and not the I'm an uber elite diet. I went off the moderate plan. A family of 4, which is a man and a woman, basically between ages 19 and 50, okay? And I used, for sake of argument, 2 kids, ages 6 to 8. The average family of 4 has to pay $1,249.40 a month in groceries. Now, if you break that out and say the percentage, and this is where you can kind of figure it out because this applies across the board. 22% of your household income has to go to buy food. Not restaurants, not Uber Eats, stuff you cook yourself. Nearly 1/4 of your income is paid in food. I want you to think about that for a second. That means all the work you do on Monday and pretty much everything both mom and dad do until about Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock just goes to pay your food. Think about that. If you want to figure out how much something costs, don't figure out how much it does in dollars, because dollars fluctuate. Time does not. An hour now is the same as what an hour was 300 years ago. Okay? That's always stayed the same. So what does it cost in the way of your labor, your time to eat? Okay? Let's take a look at that. You are paying, by the time Tuesday rolls around lunchtime, you finally now covered your food budget for the week. Okay, that's it. So then I took a look just at other things, just for the sake of argument. The average rent. I'm not talking mortgage, okay, because God knows how the Fed has screwed up the interest rates so bad. People can't afford houses, okay. Latest stories I'm seeing is we're going to have some 50 million people by 2026 move from houses into rental properties because they can't afford a mortgage. Okay, 50 million people. Start thinking about that. That's like 1/6 of the U.S. population. Average rent in the United States for a 2-bedroom apartment, $1,320. Again, yes, more expensive in San Francisco, a lot cheaper in Champaign, Illinois. Right? Just giving you an idea. And the average used car financing, $430 for one car. Okay, that's crazy. Basic transportation, $430, right? So the average family of 4 with a 2-bedroom apartment to eat and to have a basic form of transportation costs $3,000 a month. You bring home $5,661 after taxes. So more than 50% of your income goes for basic necessities. Now, I'm not adding in anything like insurance, your health insurance on you, your spouse, your kids, okay? That's going to add up the cost. No, Obamacare did not bring down the cost of it. Car insurance, obviously, if you're financing a car, you got to carry full coverage insurance, so you've got that. Renter's insurance, okay? God knows that's important, okay? You lose everything that you have in the apartment. Not that renter's insurance is that expensive, but hey, if it's $20 a month, it's still $20 out of your pocket. Gasoline for that car, electricity for the house, clothing, let's start adding all this stuff up. And it's no wonder the American public is doing this. Okay? Because things have gotten to the point of unbelievably expensive. Wages aren't keeping up. And no, the solution is not let's raise the minimum wage. That is not it. Okay? The minimum wage people in this country are not the ones that made the country what it is. Okay? And the uber elites aren't the ones that made the country what it is. The United States was built on the backs of the middle class. Black and white. I hate to tell you guys, okay? Wasn't just built by, whatever BLM tells you, it wasn't built on the backs of blacks. Sorry, didn't work that way. Built on the backs of everybody, middle class. What we used to be called the working class. Not the handout class, not the elite class, the working class. The ones who contributed to society, all right? and whether it's being on a global level or on a local level. Okay. Your local barber isn't making a difference on how international relations go with China, but your local barber probably makes a difference in what goes on in your local community. Okay. Your plumber, your electrician, the guy that's working, at the grocery store, the engineer that's designing the widget that you buy, the auto mechanic. That's who built America. And those who built America are getting strangled by the 1%. All the talk about, the rich have to pay their fair share. I agree. Okay. No question. The other side of that is the rich, define it first, okay, are also the ones who are your employer. I mean, the way they define rich, okay, is somewhere, I think it's somebody who makes over $250,000 a year. Okay. I think that it's ballpark that number that gets you into like the top 2%. Okay. Those are the people that maybe own the hardware store or own the restaurant, own the convenience store. Those are not rich people. Those are still working class people, but the government likes to define them as rich. Okay. I want to see when Warren Buffett famously saying, I pay less in taxes than my secretary. You want to tax the rich? Let's do something like that. But it's not about taxes. It's about controlling what you have. Now, can you reduce your rent? Sure, you can go live in a crappy apartment in a crime-ridden part of St. Louis if you want to. Sure, that's great. Not a good idea. Okay. Whatever you saved in rent, you just offset your car insurance rates going up. Okay. Can you pay off that car? There'd be a good idea. Can you produce some of your own food? That would be a good idea. Can you go back to making your own clothing? I know that sounds crazy. I mean, and I'll give you a quick story. I remember growing up, and I'm not talking about sewing patches on knees or whatever to make a pair of jeans last longer. God knows now they get a teeny hole, somebody throws them out. But yet people also go out and buy jeans that are all ripped up in the first place. Makes no sense to me. But I remember, as many of you do too, okay, hand-me-downs in the way of clothing. Okay. I was the oldest. Okay. My brother got all the clothes that didn't fit me the next year. I remember my mother sewing I don't even know what you want to call it anymore. I guess now you'd call it a business suit or something like that for herself, making her own clothing. Might be a good skill to have. Save you some bucks, okay? Sure, you don't have the Ralph Lauren logo on it or something. Who gives a crap, okay? But, many times you've heard me say, get out of debt, pay the stuff off. You've heard me mention that I support most of what Dave Ramsey says. Some of his stuff is just complete made up, but the debt snowball thing works. Okay. Trust me, been there, went through it, did it. It worked. Start looking at how you can make sure you can feed yourself. Because when the USDA comes up and says, the average cost of food for you is now 22%. I want to give you this. A bank won't finance you for a mortgage if the mortgage payment is over 30% of your income. And food's at 22%. Can you imagine we got to a scenario where the grocery store says, I'm sorry, I can't sell you that gallon of milk because that's over your income level? But that would be the global ID. Pinball out.